Jinha sat in his small office, staring at the screens filled with alien symbols. The room smelled like old coffee and dust. Outside his window, the city of New Seoul buzzed with normal life. People walked to work, children played in parks. Nobody knew that the galaxy was burning. For 50 years, three massive alien groups had been fighting each other. The war covered half the galaxy. Billions died every month. Entire star systems turned to ash, but Earth was forgotten. Jinha was 45 years old. His hair was turning gray. Once he had been a military officer. Now he was just a historian who studied alien wars from far away. Every day, he listened to stolen alien messages. Every day, he learned how they fought and died. The same mistakes, he whispered to himself, over and over. The aliens called themselves the Hegemony, the Collective, and the Union, big names for big empires. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had forgotten that humans existed. 300 years ago, the Galactic Council had kicked humanity out. They said humans were too slow to evolve, too weak to matter, too stupid to be worth talking to. So Earth was left alone, like a rock, floating in space that nobody wanted. Jinha's computer beeped. A new message from the war zones. He opened it and read the alien words he had learned to understand. His face went pale. "The war is moving," he said to the empty room across the city. Harin was deep underground. The secret labs beneath New Seoul were her world. She was 28, brilliant and angry, not angry at people. Angry at the universe that had forgotten her planet. "Run the test again," she told her team. The quantum weapon hummed to life. It was small, about the size of a book, but Harin knew it could punch through any alien shield. The energy readings made her smile. "Ma'am," one of her workers said, "the power levels are off the charts." "Good," Harin replied. "The aliens think we're primitive. Let's show them what primitive can do." She had been working on this project for 5 years. The government didn't know about it. The military didn't know about it. Only a few scientists knew that humans had been building weapons in secret. The test fired. A beam of pure energy shot across the lab and hit the target. The metal didn't just melt. It disappeared, gone, like it had never existed. "Perfect," Harin whispered. Meanwhile, Quan was in the diplomatic quarter of the city. He was 35, tall, and good at talking to aliens. Not many aliens wanted to talk to humans anymore. But a few still came to Earth to trade. Today, he was meeting with a Vorthok trader. The alien looked like a giant crab with too many eyes. It clicked when it talked. "Business is bad," the Vorthok said. "War everywhere, ships destroyed, trade routes gone." "I'm sorry to hear that," Quan replied in the alien's language. He spoke 12 alien languages perfectly. "Humans lucky," the Vorthok clicked. "Nobody remembers you exist. Nobody wants to kill you." Quan smiled, but inside he felt cold. "Tell me about the war." The Vorthok's eyes moved nervously. "Bad things coming. War spreads. Soon nowhere safe." "What do you mean?" "Cleansing protocol," the alien whispered. "All three sides agree. Remove small problems before final battle." Quan's blood froze. "What small problems?" "Worlds that don't matter. Species that don't count. Places to fight without worry." The meeting ended badly. The Vorthok left quickly, like it was afraid of something. Quan sat alone, thinking about the alien's words. Cleansing protocol. Remove small problems. Earth was a small problem. That night, Jinha got a message from both Harin and Quan. They wanted to meet. Something was wrong. They could all feel it. The three of them met in Jinha's office. Rain hit the windows. The city lights made everything look orange. "The war patterns have changed," Jinha said. "All three alien groups are moving their fleets in the same direction." "Toward us?" Harin asked. "Toward this sector of space. Earth is right in the middle." Quan told them about the Vorthok's warning. "They're going to use our space as a battleground. We're not even worth warning." Harin's hands made fists. "They think we're nothing." "We are nothing," Jinha said sadly. 300 years of isolation. No allies, no fleet, no voice in the galaxy. "But we have something they don't," Harin said. She told them about her. Quantum weapons, about the secret projects, about the anger that had been building for years. How many weapons do you have? Quan asked. Enough to surprise them, Harin replied, but not enough to win a war. Jinha looked at his screens full of alien battle data. Maybe we don't need to win. Maybe we just need to remind them that humans exist. What do you mean? Quan asked. They've been fighting each other for 50 years. They know each other's tactics. They know each other's weaknesses, but they don't know us. They don't know how we think. They don't know how we fight. Because we haven't fought anyone in 300 years, Harin said. Exactly. We're unpredictable, we're desperate, and we're angry. The three of them sat in silence. Outside, the city slept. Normal people doing normal things. They had no idea that alien fleets were coming. We need to tell the government, Quan said. They won't believe us, Jinha replied. And even if they do, what can they do? We have no warships, no army, no plan. Then we make a plan, Harin said. We show the galaxy that humans are not extinct. We show them that forgetting us was a mistake. How? Quan asked. Jinha smiled for the first time in months. We do what humans do best. We adapt, we survive. And we fight back. The next morning, the first alien ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. 3 fleets. Each one bigger than anything humanity had ever built. They came not to conquer Earth, but to use it as an empty battlefield. They didn't send warnings. They didn't ask permission. They didn't even notice that Earth was inhabited. The aliens were about to learn that forgetting humanity was the biggest mistake in galactic history. The war had come to Earth, and Earth was ready to remind the galaxy what it meant to be human. The first alien shot hit Earth's moon at 3:47 a.m. The explosion was so bright that people in New Seoul thought the sun had risen early. Then the ground started shaking. Jinha ran to his office as sirens wailed across the city. His screens showed 3 alien fleets fighting each other above Earth. Massive ships fired weapons that could destroy mountains. They treated Earth like it was empty space. They're not even aiming at us, Jinha said into his phone. We're just in the way. A second explosion rocked the planet. This time the blast hit the ocean. Tsunamis started racing toward every coast. The alien fleets kept fighting, not caring about the planet below them. Harin was already in her underground lab when the first attack came. The lights flickered, but the power stayed on. Her quantum weapons were ready. She had been preparing for this moment for years. All teams, this is Harin, she spoke into her radio. Begin emergency protocols. We're not hiding anymore. Her workers ran to their stations. Screens lit up showing Earth's hidden defense network. For 300 years, humanity had been building weapons in secret, underground bases. Hidden satellites. Weapons that the aliens didn't know existed. Ma'am, one of her team said, the government is calling for surrender. The government doesn't know what we have, Harin replied. Tell them to wait. Above them, the alien battle was getting worse. A hegemony ship crashed into the Pacific Ocean. The impact created an earthquake that broke windows in Tokyo. Still, the aliens kept fighting. Quan was in the emergency bunker with Earth's leaders. Presidents, generals, and scientists all looked scared. They had no plan for this. We need to contact them, the Secretary General said. Tell them we're peaceful. Tell them we surrender. They won't listen, Quan said. They don't even know we exist. Look at their communications. He showed them the alien messages he had intercepted. The 3 fleets were talking to each other. But they never mentioned Earth. They never mentioned humans. To them, this was just empty space. Then what do we do? A general asked. We make them notice us, Quan said. Another explosion lit up the sky. This one was closer. The shockwave shattered windows and knocked people down. In the distance, they could see pieces of alien ships falling like metal rain. Millions are already dead, the Secretary General said. We can't fight them. We can't. Not fight them? Quan replied. They're going to kill us all anyway. Jinha's voice came through the radio. All stations, this is Jinha. I'm taking command of Earth's defense. If you want to live, you'll follow my orders. The leaders looked shocked. Jinha was just a historian, but he was also the only person who understood alien warfare. What defense? The Secretary General asked. The one we've been building for 300 years, Jinha said. Harin, are you ready? Ready, Harin's voice crackled through the radio. Then let's remind the galaxy that humans exist. The first human attack came from everywhere at once. Hidden weapons emerged from the ground. Satellites that looked like space junk suddenly came alive. The moon itself opened up to reveal massive railguns. Harin's quantum weapons fired first. Beams of pure energy shot up from Earth and hit all three alien fleets. The beams went right through their shields like they weren't there. Impossible, one of the alien commanders said in his own language. Quan heard it on the radio and smiled. They're confused, Quan told Jinha. They can't understand how we hit them. Good, fire again. The second wave of attacks was worse for the aliens. Human weapons were different from anything they knew. Some used old-fashioned bullets that moved so fast they punched holes in starships. Others used energy that seemed to bend reality itself. A collective dreadnought exploded in orbit. Its pieces fell like burning stars. The other alien ships started moving away from Earth, but it was too late. Humanity had surrounded them. All alien vessels, Jinha spoke in 3 different alien languages. You have entered human space without permission. Leave now or be destroyed. The alien commanders couldn't believe what they were hearing. Humans? The weak species that had been forgotten centuries ago? This is Admiral Vex of the Hegemony, came a reply. You will surrender immediately or face annihilation. No, Jinha said simply. You will. The asteroid belt suddenly came alive. Rocks that had been floating in space for millions of years started moving. They weren't asteroids. They were camouflaged weapons platforms, thousands of them. By the void, whispered a Union captain. They've militarized their entire solar system. Harin watched her screens as human weapons tore through alien ships. 300 years of anger and isolation had created something the galaxy had never seen. Humans fighting for their survival. They're trying to retreat, she reported. Don't. Let them, Jinha ordered. If even one ship escapes, they'll bring reinforcements. The battle became a slaughter. Alien ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were being destroyed by weapons they couldn't understand. Human tactics were unpredictable. Human technology was impossible. Quan listened to the alien communications. Fear was replacing confusion. The 3 fleets were starting to work together, not against each other. They finally had a common enemy. They're calling for help, Quan reported. All 3 sides are sending distress signals. Let them, Jinha said. The galaxy needs to know what happens when you forget about humans. The final alien ship exploded just as the sun set. The sky was filled with debris and burning metal. Earth had won its first battle in 300 years, but the cost was terrible. The alien attacks had killed millions. Cities were in ruins. The oceans were poisoned. Earth looked like a war zone. We did it, Harin said. We actually did it. No, Jinha replied, looking at the destruction around them. We survived. That's different, Quan was monitoring galactic communications. Emergency signals were flying across space. The news was spreading fast. The humans are fighting back, he heard one alien say. Impossible, another replied. They're extinct. Then explain the wreckage. Jinha stood in the ruins of his office and looked at the stars. For the first time in 300 years, alien ships were running away from Earth, but he knew they would be back. And next time, they would bring everything they had. Get me the president, he said. We need to prepare for war. What kind of war? Harin asked. Jinha smiled grimly. The kind that reminds the galaxy why they should have left us alone. The first battle was over. Humanity had won. But the real war was just beginning. And the aliens were about to learn that waking up a sleeping giant was the worst mistake in galactic history. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In 3 days, every alien world knew the same impossible truth. Humans had destroyed 3 entire fleets. Jinha stood in what used to be the United Nations building. Half of it was gone, destroyed in the alien attack, but the war room was still working. Screens showed the galaxy's reaction to humanity's victory. "They're scared," Quan reported from his communication station. "The hegemony is calling emergency meetings. The collective is moving fleets away from human space. The Union is demanding answers." "Good," Jinha said. "Fear makes them sloppy," but Jinha knew the fear wouldn't last long. Already, the three alien powers were doing something they hadn't done in 50 years. They were talking to each other. Not fighting, talking. "Sir," a young officer said, "we're getting reports from our deep space sensors. Something big is coming." Jinha looked at the tactical display. Red dots were moving toward Earth from 3 different directions, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. "How long?" he asked. 2 weeks, maybe less, Jinha nodded. 2 weeks to prepare for the biggest battle in human history. 2 weeks to prove that the first victory wasn't just luck. "Get me Harin," he said. Harin was in her lab, but it looked different now. The secret underground base had expanded. Tunnels connected to other hidden facilities. Workers moved like ants, building weapons that had only existed in theory before. "We need more," she told her team. "More weapons, more ships, more everything." "Ma'am," one of her engineers said, "we're already working at maximum capacity." "Then work faster. The aliens are coming back and they're bringing friends." Harin had been studying the wreckage of the alien ships. Their technology was advanced, but it was also old, thousands of years old. The aliens had stopped improving their weapons because they thought they were perfect. "They're lazy," she said to herself. "They've been winning for so long they forgot how to get better." But humans had never stopped improving. 300 years of isolation had forced them to be creative. Every problem had to be solved with limited resources. Every weapon had to be better than the last. "Test the new railguns," Harin ordered. The weapons fired with a sound like thunder. Solid metal slugs shot out at incredible speed. They were simple weapons, but they worked. And the aliens' fancy shields couldn't stop them. "Perfect," Harin smiled. "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways." Quan was having the most important conversation of his life. He was talking to aliens, but not the ones humanity was fighting. These were the small species, the ones that had been conquered by the big 3 empires. "You really defeated them?" asked a Zephyrian. The bird-like alien sounded hopeful. "We did," Quan replied, "and we'll do it again. But they're so powerful. They've ruled us for centuries." "They're not as powerful as they think," Quan said. "They're just bullies. And bullies always fall when someone finally fights back." The conversation was being broadcast across the galaxy. Small alien worlds were listening. For the first time in centuries, they were hearing about someone who had beaten the big empires. "What do you want from us?" the Zephyrian asked. "Nothing." Quan said, "Just remember that freedom is possible. Remember that the empires can bleed." The call ended, but Quan knew the message would spread. Revolution was in the air. The galaxy was changing. Meanwhile, Jinha was planning the defense of Earth, but he wasn't just planning to survive. He was planning to win. And winning meant taking the fight to the enemy. "They expect us to hide," he told his staff. "They expect us to be scared. They expect us to fight like everyone else." "How should we fight?" asked the general. "Like humans," Jinha said. "Unpredictably, creatively." Angrily, the plan was insane. Instead of waiting for the aliens to attack Earth, humanity would attack them first. Human ships would hit the alien fleets while they were still traveling, before they could group together, before they could plan. "It's suicide," the general sighed. "No," Jinha replied. "It's evolution. We're not the same species that got kicked out of the galaxy. We're something new. Something dangerous." The first human fleet launched from Earth 3 days later. It was small compared to the alien armadas, only 50 ships. But these ships were different from anything the galaxy had seen. They were fast, they were smart, and they were hungry for revenge. Harin watched the ships leave from her lab. Each one carried her weapons. Each one carried humanity's anger. Each one carried the promise that Earth would never be ignored again. "Status report," she said into her radio. "All systems green," came the reply from the lead ship. "We're ready to show them what humans can do." The first attack came without warning. Human ships appeared in the middle of a hegemony fleet and opened fire. Quantum weapons tore through alien shields. Railguns punched holes in starship hulls. Missiles moved too fast to track, but the real surprise was how the humans fought. They didn't form neat battle lines like the aliens expected. They swarmed. They moved in patterns that seemed random but weren't. They adapted to every alien tactic within minutes. "They're learning," an alien commander reported. "They're learning our moves and countering them." "Impossible," his superior replied. "No species learns that fast." "Then explain why we're losing." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the hegemony fleet was scattered. Half their ships were destroyed, the other half were running away. And the humans? They had lost 3 ships. The news reached Earth quickly. Humanity had won again. But more importantly, they had proven that the first victory wasn't luck. It was skill, it was determination. It was the human way of war. "They're calling us a plague," Quan reported. "Alien news networks are saying we're a disease that consumes everything." "Let them," Jinha said. "Fear is a weapon too." But the real change was happening among the small alien worlds. Species that had been slaves for centuries were starting to rebel. They saw what humans had done and thought, if they can fight back, so can we. The Vorthak were the first to join humanity. Then the Zephyrians, then others. Not big empires, but small worlds that had been forgotten, just like Earth had been forgotten. "We're not alone anymore," Quan said. "We have allies." "Good," Jinha replied. "We'll need them." The second human fleet was already launching, then the third. Then the fourth, each one bigger than the last. Each one carrying more weapons. Each one carrying more anger. The galaxy was learning a new word. Human. And they were learning what it meant to wake up a species that had been sleeping for 300 years, but the real lesson was just beginning. The 3 alien empires were finally working together. Their combined fleet was the largest in galactic history. And it was coming to Earth. The fire that started in Earth's solar system was spreading across the galaxy. And soon everyone would learn what it truly meant to be human. 6 months after the first alien attack, the galaxy was a different place, and humans? Humans were the most feared species in known space. Jinha stood on the bridge of the first human starship to reach another galaxy. The ship was called Earth's Fury, and it was hunting, not running, not hiding. "Sir," the weapons officer said, "we have a collective supply convoy on sensors. 20 ships, lightly defended." "Good," Jinha replied. "Time to remind them why they should have left us alone." The attack was swift and brutal. Earth's Fury and her escort ships moved like wolves hunting sheep. They didn't destroy the convoy. They captured it, every ship, every crew member, every piece of technology. "This is how we learn," Jinha told his officers. "We take their ships, we study their secrets. We become better." In the captured ships, human technicians crawled through alien systems like they were toys. Within hours, they understood technology that had taken the aliens centuries to develop. Within days, they were improving it. "The humans are not just fighting us," a captured collective officer said. "They are becoming us, but better." That was the terrifying truth. Humans didn't just defeat their enemies. They absorbed them. They learned from them. They evolved faster than any species in galactic history. Back on Earth, Haran was in her expanded laboratory. It was no longer underground, it was a city now. A city of scientists and engineers working on weapons that shouldn't exist. "Report," she said to her team. "The quantum cannons are ready. The phase shields are operational. The jump drives are working perfectly." Haran smiled. Jump drives were alien technology. But human engineers had made them better, faster, more efficient. And completely impossible to track. "Good, begin mass production. Every human ship needs to be able to appear anywhere in the galaxy." "Ma'am," one of her assistants said, We're getting reports from the outer colonies. Human civilians are changing. Harun looked at the reports. Children born after the alien attack were different. They were smarter. They learned faster. They could understand complex alien languages without training. Evolution, she whispered. We're not just fighting a war. We're becoming a new species. The scientists called it accelerated adaptation. The military called it a weapon. The aliens called it impossible, but it was happening. Humans were changing. And the changes were spreading. In the hegemony capital, the Council of Warlords was meeting. The room was full of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. They were terrified. The humans took the Kerma system, one warlord reported. All 27 planets, they didn't destroy anything, they just changed it. Changed it how? Asked the High Warlord. They made the aliens there fight alongside them, not as slaves, as partners. It's like they converted them. The High Warlord slammed his fist on the table. That's impossible. No species can change the nature of another, then explain the reports. Explain how former enemies are now building human weapons. Explain how they're teaching humans their secrets. The room was silent. For the first time in centuries, the hegemony didn't know what to do. Meanwhile, Quan was on a diplomatic mission. But not to enemy worlds. To worlds that had been neutral. Worlds that had stayed out of the war. Join us, he said to the Terran assembly, not as servants, as equals. The alien diplomat looked confused. You want nothing from us? We want everything. Quan replied, we want you to remember what freedom feels like. We want you to remember that the universe is bigger than 3 empires. The message was simple. The galaxy belonged to everyone. Not just the big 3 powers, the small worlds, the forgotten species, the ones who had been ignored for centuries. But the hegemony will destroy us if we rebel, the diplomat said. The hegemony can't destroy all of us, Quan replied. And they're too busy fighting humans to worry about you. It was working. Every week, more worlds joined the human cause, not through conquest, but through choice. They saw what humans were building and wanted to be part of it. This is freedom, Quan said in one of his broadcasts. This is what the galaxy could be. The 3 alien empires were finally working together completely. Their combined fleet was the largest force in galactic history. 5 million ships. Weapons that could destroy entire solar systems. The best military minds of 3 civilizations. They were coming to Earth for the final battle, but Jinha wasn't waiting for them. He was hunting them. The first strike came at the hegemony's main shipyard. 1,000 human ships appeared out of nowhere and destroyed the facility before the aliens could react. Then they vanished, leaving only wreckage. They're everywhere, reported a Union commander. Every system, every fleet. We can't predict where they'll strike next. Because they're not following any pattern, replied the admiral. They're not fighting like civilized beings, they're fighting like animals. But the aliens were wrong. Humans were fighting like humans. Unpredictably, creatively, with a fury that had been building for 300 years, the second strike hit the collective's main communication center. Without it, their fleets couldn't coordinate. They were deaf and blind in the vast emptiness of space. The third strike was the worst. Human ships appeared in the middle of the Union's most secure system and captured their main planet. Not destroyed. Captured with all its technology, all its secrets, all its people. They're not just winning, a Union general said. They're consuming us like they're digesting the galaxy. And in a way they were. Every victory brought new technology. New allies, new knowledge. Humans were becoming something that had never existed before. They were becoming the galaxy's new rulers, but they weren't ruling through fear. They were ruling through example, through hope. Through the promise that any species could be free if they were brave enough to fight for it. The war isn't about humans versus aliens, Jinha said in a message to the galaxy. It's about freedom versus slavery, choice versus control, the future versus the past. The final battle was coming. The combined alien fleet was only days away from Earth, but when they arrived, They wouldn't find a cowering planet waiting to be conquered. They would find a galaxy that had remembered its name. A galaxy that had chosen to be free, and at the center of it all, they would find humanity. Not as they had been, but as they had become, evolved, unstoppable, ready to write the next chapter of galactic history. The hunt was almost over. Soon, the galaxy would belong to those brave enough to take it. The final battle began at the edge of the galaxy, where the stars were young and the space was empty. 5 million alien ships formed the largest army in galactic history. They had come to end humanity once and for all, but when they arrived, they found something impossible. Humans were waiting for them, not hiding behind Earth's defenses, not running to distant stars, waiting. Jinha stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the alien armada approach. Behind him, the human fleet looked small, only 50,000 ships. But appearances were deceiving. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're receiving surrender demands from all 3 empires." "What do they want?" Jinha asked. "Complete human withdrawal from all conquered systems. Return of all captured technology. Exile to Earth." Jinha smiled. "Send them our reply." The message was simple, one word: no. The alien commanders couldn't believe it. They had brought everything, every ship, every weapon, every soldier. How could 50,000 human ships think they could win? "They're insane," said Admiral Vex of the Hegemony. "Good," replied General Voss of the Union. "Insane enemies make mistakes, but the aliens were wrong. Humans weren't insane. They were evolved. And they had brought friends. As the alien fleet moved forward, space itself seemed to come alive. Ships appeared from nowhere, not human ships, alien ships. Ships from the collective. Ships from the Union, ships from the hegemony itself. "Impossible," whispered Commander Zale of the collective. "Those are our own vessels." "Not anymore," Jinha said over the communications. "They chose freedom. They chose humanity." The truth was stunning. Half the alien fleet had turned. Crews that had served the empires for centuries had decided to fight for something new, something better. "This is Captain Roth of the Hegemony Destroyer Vengeance," came a voice over the radio. "We stand with humanity. We stand with freedom." "This is Colonel Vex of the Union Cruiser Domination," came another. "The old ways are dead. The future belongs to the free." The alien leaders watched in horror as their own ships turned their weapons on them. But this wasn't betrayal. This was evolution. This was choice. Haran watched the battle from her command center on Earth. But she wasn't just watching. She was changing reality itself. "Activate the quantum field," she ordered. Across the galaxy, hidden devices came online. Devices that Haran had built over the past year. Devices that could do impossible things. The alien weapons stopped working. Not broken, just stopped. Their energy weapons fired blanks. Their missiles forgot how to explode. Their shields became as useful as paper. "What's happening?" screamed the High Warlord. "Physics," Haran said simply. "I changed the rules." For the first time in galactic history, someone had weaponized reality itself. In the space around the battle, the laws of physics bent to human will. Energy behaved differently. Matter responded to thought. Time moved at the speed of human dreams. "Impossible," the alien scientist said. "You can't change the fundamental laws of the universe." "Watch us," Haran replied. The battle that should have lasted days ended in hours. The alien fleet, stripped of their weapons and betrayed by their own people, had only 2 choices. Fight with their bare hands or surrender. Most chose surrender, but some chose to fight. And that's when they learned what humans had truly become. Quan was on one of the captured alien ships, speaking to the crew. But he wasn't speaking with words. He was speaking with something deeper, something that transcended language. "You've been slaves for so long, you forgot what freedom feels like," he said. "We're here to remind you." The alien crew looked at him with wonder. For the first time in centuries, they felt hope. Not the hope of victory, but the hope of choice. The hope of being more than just servants to an empire. "Join us," Quan said. "Not as our subjects, as our equals. Help us build something new," and they did, ship by ship, crew by crew, system by system. The galaxy was choosing freedom over slavery, progress over tradition, humanity over empire. The final moments of the battle were almost peaceful. The last alien commanders, surrounded by their own people who had chosen to switch sides, finally understood what they were fighting. "You're not destroying us," Admiral Vex said to Jinha. "You're changing us." "Yes," Jinha replied. "Into something better. Into something free." The surrender came at sunset, Earth time. The largest military force in galactic history laid down their arms and asked to learn what freedom meant. But the real victory wasn't military. It was cultural. It was spiritual. It was the moment when an entire galaxy decided to grow up. In the months that followed, the old empires dissolved. Not through conquest, but through choice. Planets that had been ruled for millennia suddenly had to learn how to govern themselves. Jinha became the first galactic marshal, but he refused to be called emperor. "I'm just a teacher," he said, "teaching the galaxy how to be free." Harun's technologies spread to every world, but she didn't keep them secret. She shared them freely. "Knowledge belongs to everyone," she said. "That's what makes us human." Quan established the new galactic communication network. Every species, no matter how small, had a voice. "No one gets forgotten again," he promised. "No one gets left behind." The galaxy began to change in ways no one had imagined. Art flourished, science advanced. New species were discovered and welcomed. Old enemies became friends, but the biggest change was in the aliens themselves. Freed from the rigid structures of empire, they began to evolve, to adapt, to become something new. "The humans didn't conquer us," said a former hegemony officer. "They liberated us. From ourselves, years passed, the galaxy grew, new worlds were settled. New technologies were developed. New species were born from the mixing of old ones. And at the center of it all was humanity, not ruling, not controlling. Just being human, curious, creative, willing to take risks. Willing to change. Jin-Ha, now an old man, stood in his garden on Earth. The sky was full of ships from 1,000 worlds. Trade ships, exploration ships. Ships carrying families to new homes among the stars. "We did it," Harun said, joining him. She was older too, but her eyes still burned with the fire of discovery. "Did what?" Jinha asked. "We reminded the galaxy what it means to be alive." Quan appeared beside them, his hair now white but his smile as bright as ever. "The galaxy had forgotten Earth's name for 3 centuries," he said. "Now they'll never forget it again." The 3 friends stood together, watching the stars. Somewhere, out there, human ships were exploring new galaxies. Human scientists were solving impossible problems. Human diplomats were making friends with species that had never known friendship. "What's next?" Harun asked. Jinha smiled. "Whatever we choose. That's the beauty of freedom. The future is ours to write." And in the vast emptiness of space, where new worlds waited to be discovered, humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly how humans liked it.